Okay, this is chapter 13, lesson 5. Today is all about when there's zeros in the product. What is a product again, Chris?
The answer is multiplication.
Good. A product is the answer to a multiplication problem. So sometimes in our product we need to have zeros. Okay, so it's all about zeros in the answers to our multiplication problems. Today our learning goal is to be able to decide when to write zeros in our answers, in the products of decimal factors. What does decimal factors mean, Andre?
Decimal factors are basically factors that are decimals.
Good. So basically today, in regular words, is we are going to multiply two decimals together, and sometimes in the answer we need to figure out when we need to put zeros. Okay? And we ran into this yesterday a little bit already. So this is going to be a little bit of a review, but we want to clarify our understanding. So even if you already think you know about this, pay attention and make sure your understanding is 100% correct. Okay, here's our question today. A store sells pencils for 80 cents each. Each pencil costs 80 cents. Okay? The store is located in a place where the sales tax is 0.05 of the total price, or 5/100ths of the total price. How much is the sales tax on one of the pencils? What is sales tax? Daniel?
Sales tax is when you buy something and you sort of have to
Yeah, sales tax is the extra money you have to pay. When you go to the store and you buy stuff, do you ever notice that you end up paying more than what the items actually cost? Or you have to pay some tax. That's some money that you have to give to the state. Sales tax or to our country, whichever one. There's different kinds of taxes. Taxes are extra money that you have to pay. So what this is saying is for every pencil, how much does each pencil cost? 80 cents. For every 80 cents pencil, you need to pay 0.05 of that extra. So how much extra do you have to pay? What's our equation? Abiram?
So our equation, 0.80
0.8, yep.
times 0.00.
How did you know that you had to multiply them?
Because the sales tax is technically 5% or
0.5/100ths of 80 cents. And what do we know the word of means?
times.
Multiplication. So 0.05 of 0.8. So we multiply them together. Okay, what's step 1 when we multiply, Sawyer? Good. So Henrik, what's 8 times 5? Let's ignore those decimal points. Can we ignore all the zeros before then? If we get rid of the decimal points, can we ignore those zeros? Is 0.8 the same thing as 8? What about 0.05? Is that the same thing as 5? So let's just ignore those decimal points and the zeros for now. Henrik, what's 8 times 5?
8 times 5 equals 40.
Okay, so our answer is 40. Now, let's look at this factor. Erica, how many numbers are after the decimal point in this first factor? 1. Okay, so there's a 1 here. How many numbers are after the decimal point in our second factor, Chris? 2. So 1 plus 2 is? 3. So we know in our answer, we need 3 numbers after the decimal point, huh? Okay, so if I put the decimal point here, how many numbers would there be after? 0. So is that okay? No. Okay, what if I move it over 1 and I put it here? Now there's 1 number after it. Is that what we need? Okay. What if I move it here in front of the 4? Now there's 2 numbers. 4 and 0 are both after the decimal point. Is that what we need?
No.
How many do we need? 3, right? So let's move it over 1 more. And here's where we would need the decimal point, right? But there's a blank space here. So what should I put there? 0. So our answer is 0.04 or 4 cents, right? That's how much tax you need to pay. So for every 80-cent pencil you buy, you have to pay an extra 4 cents of sales tax. What does it say in green? Okay, we know, let's just round one number. Remember, when we estimate, we want to be able to do things in our head. So 0.8 is about how much?
1.
It's about 1, right? So we can say 0.8 is about 1. 1 times, let's just keep that number the same. 0.05 is what? What's 1 times anything? Is anything, right? So what's our answer? 0.05. Now, was this a high estimate or a low estimate? Why do we know it was a high estimate, Arjun? We rounded 0.8. We rounded it up to 1. So should our answer be higher or lower than our actual answer? Because it's a high estimate. Yeah. Is 0.05 higher than 0.04? So is our answer reasonable?
Yes.
Very good. Check. Okay, let's talk about if adding zeros changes the value of a number. Okay, so say I have the number 3. That's a whole number, right? Is it before the decimal point or after the decimal point? There's no decimal point, right? If there's no decimal point and I add zeros before the number like this, does it change the value of the number? No. Why do you say yes?
Because if you look at, oh wait, no.
It doesn't, right? I have 0 tens, 0 hundreds, 0 thousands, 0 ten thousands. It's still just 3, right? What if I have a decimal point here and I add zeros here? Does that change the value?
No.
Also no. Okay, but what happens if I have the 3, but it's going to be, what if I add numbers here and the decimal point is here?
Yes.
Does the number of zeros I have here matter?
Yes.
Okay, so you have to think about place value and how that affects the numbers, right? What if I add zeros here? Does that matter?
No.
Okay, so you want to think about if it changes the value. What if I add more zeros here?
No.
Okay, very good. Yes, now Archer says, you know what? These zeros can make a difference because if I put a 1 here, now do these zeros make a difference?
Yes.
Okay, so you want to think about where your numbers are and how place value affects the values of the numbers. Okay, very good. Let's try another problem. This one's not a word problem, it's just a normal problem. 15 tenths, or 0.15, times 0.04. Our first step is to what, Aditya? Ignore the decimal point. Okay, so I'm going to set this up 15 times 4. Okay, 15 times 4 is how much? 4 times 5 is? 20. 4 times 1 is? 4 plus 2 is?
6.
Good, so 15 times 4 is 60. Now let's look at our factors. How many numbers do I have after the decimal point here? Dara? 2. Okay, what about here in the second factor? Erica? 2. So Nadia, altogether, how many numbers do I need after my decimal point in my answer? Huh? 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay, let's start placing that decimal point. If I put it here, will there be 4 numbers after the decimal point?
No.
Okay, here?
No.
Here?
No.
Uh-oh, okay. Here?
No.
If I put it here, how many would there be after? 3. Okay, so I'll move it one more. How about that one? Okay, so is my answer point blank blank 60? What do I need to put into the product?
0.
I need to add a 0 for each one, and you want to double check. You want to say, are there, and I like to put a 0 before the decimal point just to really show that there's no holes, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 numbers after the decimal point. We're good to go. Are we done?
No.
What do we need to do?
Estimate to check our answer.
We need to estimate to check our answer. Now, I want to show you another way you could check your answer. It only works sometimes. How do we say this factor in word form? Daniel? 15 hundredths. 15 hundredths. Is this another way to write 15 hundredths?
Yes.
Okay. What is this factor?
400.
Do we know about adding fractions?
Yes.
Are the denominators the same? Are they ready to add?
Yes.
Okay, so we can keep the denominators the same, right? What's 15 plus 4?
19.
Okay. Is 19, we're still going to estimate though. This is not working out. Oh, because we're multiplying. Thank you, Sawyer. What did we do? What did Stephanie do wrong now? Okay, so instead of adding, thank you, Sawyer, I was like, how come this doesn't work? Okay, so that part was wrong, right? Because I added instead of multiplying. Good. Now, if I did that on a test, would I want to kick myself for making a silly mistake?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, oops. Okay, so now let's multiply. Can we multiply fractions? Very good. Now, are we going to get a very big number? Should we do prime factorization first?
Yes.
Okay, let's just multiply. What's 15 times 4? We know it's 60. What's 100 times 100? Atharva? 10,000.
10,000.
Now, we know that the top and bottom are both divisible by 10, right? So I can just cross off a 0 for each one. 6 thousandths. Is that what we have here as our answer? 6 thousandths? So look at that. Okay. So check. Our answer is correct. Now, let's talk about if we wanted to estimate to check, though. Okay? 15 hundredths is about how much? Let's say 2 tenths? Should we round up to 2 tenths? Okay. If we're rounding up, we know that this is going to be a high estimate or a low estimate. Okay. 0.04. What should we round that up to?
0.00.
How about 0.05?
Oh yeah. Right.
Or we could keep it the same, but that's fine. So what's 2 times 5? 10. And how many numbers are we going to need in our after our decimal point? 3. So 1, 2, 3. We need to add a 0, right? So this answer, if it's a high estimate, should our answer be higher or lower than our real answer? Is 0.01 higher than 0.006? Very good. Check.